Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining in this video. So over the last few videos, I have been getting requests on exploring some more secrets of Navamsha, which are usually hidden, from the astrology that we come across in our day-to-day lives. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to touch upon a very interesting topic related to the Navamsha, and that is the magic of Scorpio Amsha. Okay. And any planet that goes into Scorpio Amsha is the significator of what mistakes you will do. Okay. But then, before we actually go into the meat of the topic, kindly subscribe to the channel, like the content if you find it useful, and do let me know in your comments as to what videos you want to see further as we move deeper into the significations of the Navamsha chart. Okay. So the two amshas, or the two portions of the Navamsha chart which become very, very important, are the portions which are the rashis, or are the houses that are ruled by Scorpio as well as Aquarius. Okay. And the house that is ruled by Scorpio, or the sign of Scorpio, that is known as Scorpio Amsha. Okay. Or the Vrishchik Amsha. And if you look at the house that is ruled by the sign of Aquarius, that is known as the, Kumbhamsha, or the Aquarius Amsha. Okay, so I'll come to Aquarius in a later video. But then Scorpio Amsha, or the house that is ruled by the sign of Scorpio in the Navamsha, becomes a very important, becomes a focal point of your life, because that represents the mistakes that you will do. So ideally, you should not have any planets in Scorpio Amsha or in Kumbha Amsha. But if you have, as a result of your birth conditions, then you have to be very careful while dealing with the planets that fall in either of these amshas. Okay, so the discussion for this video is only based on Scorpio Amsha, or the sign of Scorpio in the Navamsha chart. Okay, so if you have planets in the Amsha of Scorpio, or in the sign of Scorpio, in any house of the Navamsha, that planet is going to make you do a lot of mistakes, or commit a lot of mistakes. Okay, so coming to the different planets as such, say if you have Sun in Scorpio Navamsha or Scorpio Amsha, then you will make mistakes related to your father, you will make mistakes related to boss or any authoritative figures. Okay, and similarly, your father may also be very prone to making mistakes if you have the Sun in Scorpio. Okay, if you have Moon in the sign of Scorpio, then you would be tending to make mistakes when it comes to females. Okay, maybe you don't know how to act when you are in the presence of females, or maybe when you don't appear to be very pleasant while interacting with females. Okay, similarly, you will make mistakes when it comes to issues concerning your mother, and you can also make mistakes when it comes issues concerning to your homeland. Now this is a very important principle which is often ignored. Okay, so I recently saw a chart of a person having Moon in Scorpio Amsha, and that person, he sold off everything in his home country and he went to settle in the US, and now he has landed up in a lot of issues in the US, and he wants desperately to come back to India, and he's unable to do so because he does not have any assets left in India. His entire family is he shifted to the US with his entire family of his wife, two children, and his mother, and that caused a lot of problems in his life. Okay, so he took a decision regarding his homeland, regarding leaving his homeland, and that obviously landed him in a lot of trouble in the US. Okay, if Mars is in the sign of Scorpio in your D9, okay, in that case, you would be very rash when it comes to taking decisions. You would have a violent streak within yourself, and you would find yourself engaging in violent activities, and similarly, you would tend to pick up fights and quarrels pretty easily with people. Okay, so a friend of mine who works as a teacher in a high school, he has Mars in Scorpio Amsha, and he has been charged quite a number of times for hitting students when they could not perform according to his expectations. Okay, so those are the problems that he is facing. Okay, if you have Mercury in the sign of Scorpio and Scorpio Amsha, then you have to be really, really careful with your words, because you will actually end up making mistakes in your communication with other people. Okay. So generally, I've seen that people having Mercury in Scorpio, they cannot keep secrets, or they end up saying, something which they should not have said, and which gets them into a lot of trouble later on. Okay. There is a phrase in English which says "me and my big mouth." So this is exactly true for those people who have Mercury in Scorpio Amsha. Okay, if you have Jupiter in the Navamsha of Scorpio, in that case, you would find yourself lying pretty often. You would often get into trouble because of your lies. Okay, so you would run into situations where you tell one lie, and then to cover up, you have to tell another lie, and before you know it, you have piled up a lot of lies, and then you have a lot of explaining to do when people find out about the truth, or about the fact that you have been lying all along to them or to others as such. Okay. If you have Venus in the Vamsha of Scorpio, if you have Venus in Scorpio Amsha, then you would make mistakes in relationships. Okay. Say you would get into a situation where you would want to, maybe you are married, and then you fall in love with your office colleague, and you want to break the barriers of marriage and get physically intimate with that office colleague of yours, and then you do it, and all of a sudden your marriage gets into a turmoilish situation, or you get into a turmoilish situation regarding your marriage and things like that. Okay, so I've seen that happening to a lot of people, but if you have Venus in Scorpio Amsha, please don't try to break boundaries of your existing relationship, whether you are in a marriage or whether you are in love with someone. Try not to indulge in any kind of infidelity, because that can be quite traumatic, not only for you but also on your partner. Okay. Now, if you have Saturn in the Navamsha of Scorpio or in Scorpio Amsha, then you would be very prone to making mistakes in your work. Okay. So another, a client of mine, he has this placement, Saturn in this Navamsha of Scorpio, and he works as an accountant. He works not as an accountant. He works as a banker. Okay. And he often ends up paying money from his own pocket when it comes to settling the account at the end of every working day in the bank. Okay, so you'd make a lot of if you have Saturn in Scorpio, I'm sure you'd make a lot of mistakes concerning your work. Say you are in a particular job that has a very well defined job role, and all of a sudden you will find yourself doing something which is not defined there, and you get into trouble with your superiors, or you get into trouble with your colleagues. That is Saturn for you in Scorpio, I'm sure. Okay. What about Rahu? If you have Rahu in Scorpio Amsha, then you would break boundaries very easily. That means you'll not hesitate to break boundaries. Say you want something, and if you have Rahu in the Amsha of Scorpio, you try to get that thing by hook or by crook. Okay, so I was analyzing a chart of a person. I'll not mention who it is, but that person, he wanted to get married to a girl, and that girl was already married, and he ended up, trying to poison her husband so that he could actually, marry her later on when he died. So this actually has actually happened, and that person had Rahu in the Amsha of Scorpio. Okay, so what about Ketu? So Ketu in Scorpio Amsha, you will find this combination in a lot of people who act as suicide bombers or who are terrorists. Okay, so these people, they are very prone to taking headless decisions. They're not concerned with anyone or anything when they take these decisions. Okay, and that is something, you know they will come across as someone who is very rash, who is very irrational, and who are very prone to making mistakes. Okay, so if you have Ketu in the Navamsha of Scorpio or in Scorpio Amsha, please avoid driving any vehicles, because that can be really, really traumatizing on yourself as well as on other people. If you are into driving vehicles, okay, you can get into big trouble because of rash driving or because of irresponsible driving. Okay, so that's it from me in this video. Please let me know if it resonates with you, and do leave behind your feedback in the comment section, because that helps me out in knowing what topics you guys want me to make more videos on. Okay, so there are a few more videos that will be coming up in the upcoming days related to the Navamsha chart. Please stay tuned to the channel, look for updates. Okay, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon in yet another video. Namaste. Om Gurave Namaha.